Why do some executives eliminate their competition without ever raising their voice, while others fight loud, messy political battles that destroy their own careers in the process? Today, we are breaking down the Sun Tzu corporate strategy for destroying your office rival without saying a single word, and the psychology of silent power in high-stakes business environments. Most professionals believe that if someone is undermining them at work, the correct response is to confront them directly, to have the conversation, to clear the air. That is the single fastest way to lose a corporate power struggle. The moment you confront a rival openly, you have announced your position, revealed your awareness, and handed them time to prepare their defense. The greatest strategic minds in history understood that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. And no one mastered this principle more ruthlessly than Sun Tzu. If you are tired of watching manipulative coworkers climb the ladder while you play by rules that were designed to keep you in place, you are in the right place. Subscribe to the Sovereign Executive because strategy is a weapon, and we are here to help you master it. I have watched this pattern repeat itself hundreds of times in corporate environments across industries. A talented, hard-working professional identifies a rival, someone who is actively sabotaging their projects, stealing credit, or poisoning their reputation with leadership. And what do? They go to HR, they document everything, they try to be the bigger person, and 6 months later, they're the ones being let go in a restructuring, while their rival gets promoted. From a psychological perspective, the reason this happens is painfully simple. Corporate hierarchies do not reward the person who is right. They reward the person who is strategically positioned. Once you internalize that brutal truth, the chaos of office politics finally starts to make sense. To understand how to neutralize a rival without confrontation, we need to go back 2,500 years to ancient China. Sun Tzu was not just a military general, he was a psychologist centuries before the field existed. His text, The Art of War, is not really about war at all. It is about the architecture of human conflict itself. And his most dangerous principle was this: the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Most people read that line and think it means avoid conflict. It doesn't. It means engineer the conditions of your rival's defeat so thoroughly that by the time they realize they are losing, the war is already over. Sun Tzu outlined 5 key factors that determine victory before a battle even begins: moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline. In military terms, these 5 factors represent alignment of purpose, timing, terrain, leadership quality, and organizational structure. But in the corporate world, these 5 factors translate into something far more immediately useful. So what was Sun Tzu's most lethal strategic insight? It was the concept of Shih, strategic positioning. Sun Tzu believed that a master strategist never attacks from a position of effort. They maneuver until the victory requires almost no effort at all. Imagine a boulder sitting at the top of a mountain. It took enormous energy to push that boulder to the summit, but once it's at the top, the destruction it causes on the way down is effortless and unstoppable. That is Shih. That is the position you need to build before you ever make a move against your office rival. Now imagine 2 professionals competing for the same promotion. One of them sends long emails defending their work, argues in meetings, and constantly tries to prove their value through words. The other says almost nothing. Instead, they quietly build alliances with the 3 people who have the hiring manager's ear. They volunteer for the project that has the highest executive visibility. They position themselves so that when the decision is made, every data point, every relationship, and every optic is already tilted in their favor. Which one do you think gets the promotion? The answer is obvious. But here's the darkest part of that strategy. The person who lost will never understand why they lost. They will blame politics. They will blame unfairness. They will never realize that they were outmaneuvered by someone who understood Shih. In the modern corporate world, Sun Tzu's 5 factors translate into a framework I call the silent dominance protocol. Let me break it down for you. Factor 1. Moral law. In Sun Tzu's framework, moral law means alignment. In the office, this means ensuring that your goals are visibly aligned with your CEO's strategic priorities. Your rival might be competent, but their projects don't align with where the C-suite wants to take the company. They're building a castle on sand. Your first move is to study the company's quarterly earnings calls, the CEO's public statements, and the board's strategic priorities. Then you realign every single thing you do to serve those priorities. You don't announce this, you just do it. Within 90 days, leadership will begin to unconsciously associate you with their own vision. Your rival will still be fighting for their pet projects, while you are being seen as a strategic thinker. Factor 2. Heaven. Sun Tzu defined heaven as timing, the seasons, the weather, the conditions. In the corporate world, this means understanding the cycles of your organization. When are budgets approved? When are performance reviews conducted? When is leadership most stressed and therefore most susceptible to influence? Amateur strategists make their moves when they feel ready. Master strategists make their moves when the environment is ready. If your rival is about to present a major initiative, you don't attack their idea. You present a superior alternative the week before, when leadership is still in evaluation mode. By the time your rival presents, the decision-makers have already anchored to your framework. Your rival isn't competing against you anymore. They're competing against an idea that leadership already emotionally owns. Factor 3. Earth. Earth represents terrain. In the office, your terrain is the information landscape. Who controls the data? Who has access to the metrics that drive decisions? Sun Tzu said, "He who occupies the field of battle first and awaits his enemy is at ease." In corporate terms, this means you must become the person who owns the narrative around key projects. If your rival is leading a project, you don't sabotage it. Instead, you become the person who provides leadership with context around that project's performance. You volunteer to build the dashboard. You offer to compile the report. You don't change the numbers. You don't need to. You simply control the frame through which leadership interprets those numbers. This is the most elegant form of corporate warfare. You never say a negative word about your rival. You simply ensure that every piece of information leadership receives passes through your lens first. Think about your own office for a second. Who is the person that leadership always turns to for the real story on a project? That person has more power than the project manager themselves. That person controls the earth. Factor 4. The commander. Sun Tzu believed that the quality of the leader determines everything. In the corporate application, this means your personal brand, not your resume, your brand. How do people describe you when you are not in the room? If the answer is nice or hardworking, you are in danger. Those are the adjectives of a replaceable employee. You need to be described as strategic, sharp, or the person who always sees around corners. You engineer this perception not through self-promotion, but through calculated displays of insight. In your next leadership meeting, don't present a solution. Present a problem that no one else has identified yet. This signals to the room that your strategic vision operates at a higher altitude than everyone else's, including your rivals. Factor 5. Method and discipline. This is the system. Sun Tzu's armies won because they operated with a structure that was superior to their enemies. In your career, this means your personal operating system. Do you have a system for tracking your rivals' moves? Do you document every interaction with leadership, not for HR, but for your own strategic awareness? Do you maintain a network map of who influences whom in your organization? Most professionals operate reactively. They respond to office politics as it happens. The sovereign executive operates proactively. They have a system that tracks the political landscape of their office the same way a general tracks troop movements on a battlefield. Here is what most leadership books get completely wrong. They tell you to rise above office politics. That advice is designed for people who have already won. For everyone else, ignoring the political landscape of your office is the strategic equivalent of a general refusing to read a map. You don't have to be political, but you must be politically aware. There is a critical difference. Being political means you play games. Being politically aware means you see the games being played and position yourself accordingly. Sun Tzu never told his generals to ignore the enemy. He told them to understand the enemy so completely that victory becomes inevitable. If you were dealing with a specific office rival right now, here is your exact playbook for the next 90 days. Week 1 through Week 4, map the terrain. Identify who your rival's allies are. Identify who influences your shared leadership. Do not make any moves, just observe and document. Week 5 through Week 8, build Shih. Begin positioning yourself on the highest visibility projects. Volunteer for the initiative that is closest to the CEO's stated priorities. Build quiet alliances with the 3 most influential people in your rival's orbit, not to turn them against your rival, but to ensure they see you as equally or more valuable. Week 9 through Week 12, the effortless victory. By now, your positioning should be doing the work for you. When the next promotion cycle, budget allocation, or reorganization occurs, you will find that the decision makers already see you as the strategic choice. Your rival will still be fighting battles. You will have already won the war. The brutal truth is this: your rival is not your enemy. Your own lack of strategic positioning is your enemy. Sun Tzu said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." In the corporate world, most professionals don't know either. They don't truly understand their rivals' motivations, alliances, and vulnerabilities. And worse, they don't understand their own strategic weaknesses. The sovereign executive knows both, and that is why they win without ever raising their voice. So, the blueprint for silent corporate dominance comes down to 3 laws. First, never confront directly. Every open confrontation reveals your position and gives your rival time to adapt. Second, control the information terrain. The person who frames the narrative holds more power than the person doing the work. Third, build Shih. Position yourself so that victory is the natural, effortless outcome of your strategic environment. If this gave you a tactical edge today, subscribe. Next time, we're breaking down how Niccolo Machiavelli's concept of controlled cruelty was used by one of the most successful CEOs in Wall Street history to eliminate an entire generation of internal rivals, and how you can use a softer version of that same framework to protect your career from the people who are quietly working against you right now. Stay sharp. Strategy is a weapon. Use it.